Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Executive Talk in the topic of Turn Beverage Crisis into Opportunity, organized by Thai Beverage Industry Association and Informal Markets, alongside with ProPak Asia 2020. My name is Parkin Detchan Chayut, and I will be the host for the first section for today. To start our program, please welcome Mr. Saroj Intapan, the Secretary General Thai Beverage Industry Association, to give his welcome remark. Please come on stage, please.
Distinguished speakers and participants, on behalf of Thai Beverage Industry Association, or we can call EC, TBA, I wish to extend a very warm welcome to all of you attending this executive talk, Turn Beverage Crisis into Opportunity Seminar. The TBA extends our full support to this prestigious international conference. The Thai Beverage Industry Association represents all major non-alcohol, ready-to-drink beverage manufacturers and related suppliers in Thailand. Our mandate is to support our common interests and facilitate cooperation among fellow industry members. As Asia's second largest economy, Thailand has been an important trade route and meeting place for local and international business for many decades. Our capital city, Bangkok, is famed for its diverse culture, modern infrastructure, and well for hospitality amenities. This combination of factors make Thai the perfect place to do business to meet the region's top beverage industry professional. Here the TBA Executive Talk, held together with ProPak Asia 2020. TBA Executive Talk is taking place together with ProPak Asia, the region's major international industry meeting. The conference provides opportunity for industry leaders and professionals to discuss latest topics and trends, share best practice, and seek new business opportunities and partnerships. In this connection, I would like to thank Informal Market Thailand for embracing TBA support to implement the virtual and hybrid element in show which enable the connection with overseas delegations. In conclusion, I would like to wish all participants great successful at the conference and trust you will have a successful and enjoyable participation in all events, including ProPak Asia 2020, and fully embrace all the valuable business, education, and networking opportunity this event provides. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
And thank you, Mr. Saroj, for the please warmly welcome speech in the morning. And now it's time to welcome the all executive speaker for the panel discussion. For the first part is Mr. Ekapol Pongsataporn, Vice Chairman TBA Association and the Managing Director of Tipco Food Public Company Limited, and he will be focused on beverage industry in Thailand and ASEAN. Please welcome on the stage. And for the second spot, please welcome Mr. Saroj Chayavivatkul, the President of Thai Beverage Can Company Limited, and he will be focused on beverage packaging supply chain. And the last but not least, Please welcome Mr. Chirathep Senivongs Ayudhya, the Managing Director of BOLLIGER and Company. He will be focused on customer journeys and opportunities. And please welcome our moderator for today's event, Dr. Wit Sithiwakin on the stage, and I will hand over the stage to Dr. Wit and hope you guys enjoy. And thank you, ขอบคุณครับ
Thank you very much for a kind introduction. And first of all, I would like to welcome all of you to the executive talk this morning. But I'm sure that every one of us today, we don't have to worry because we have a lot of beverage lining up to quench our thirst. If we are thirsty, but we have only plain water here on the stage. Well, 60 minutes from now, we'll be talking about the effect of the pandemic, the COVID-19, which hit every single industry very hardly. But I'm sure that big companies, including consulting firms, would not have sit silently. They learn from the crisis and they try to identify what should be the next step that we can grow our industry sustainably in the future. And 60 minutes first, we'll be discussing on the stage, but afterwards, it is your turn. Should you have any kind of additional questions, please prepare your questions. Write it down remarkably in a readable manner, as I can read it out. And then hand over to our staff who will go there and collect your questions. And that will be addressed here upon the stage here. And first, I would like to ask, first of all, Kun Ekapol, about the effect of the pandemic COVID-19. I'm sure that everyone might get used to these questions. How far have you suffered from the pandemic? I hate asking these questions, but I have to ask this question. But I'm sure such a big company like Tipco would not sit and did nothing. You might have identified the next step of how can you grow and how can you bounce back strongly after the COVID-19. Welcome, Ekapol, please.
Very big question, actually.
Very broad.
But the good things about the beverage industry is that we have crisis every day anyway. The pandemic is just one big thing that we see today. But beverage industry is moving very quick. It's called fast-moving consumer goods. So every day we see crisis, right? We see customer complaints sometimes. We see out of stock sometimes, and we see supply chain disruption sometimes. So we treat this crisis actually as the way that we can have a new way of working. But first of all, would you allow me to introduce Tipco Food maybe just a couple of minutes?
Please.
So we all understand the context that I'm in. Tipco Foods actually, for most of the Thai people, I think you're familiar with the juice, the Tipco juice, orange juice, pineapple juice, and those things. But actually, that's only part of our business. I think we're quite fortunate that our business is quite diversified. Although we in the food and beverage business, but we have four business altogether. The Tipco F&B, the upper left corner, is what Thai people are familiar with. We have the mineral water, we have juice products. So those are the beverage that we're talking about. But not only that, we have a big chunk of the pineapple business. That's almost 40% of our business is the Tipco pineapple business, which is the cannery business, whereby we have the contract farmers in the southern part of Thailand, the biggest number of contract farmers that in Thailand. And for those of you who probably don't know that Thailand is the biggest exporter of pineapple in the world, actually. And it's still a big part of the economy, if I may say so. So that's, we got affected in terms of the customers in the US and Europe, because the majority of our customers are in those areas. And we also have the Tipco retail, where we have smoothie bars, freshly squeezed, and and also the smoothies and other kind of drinks. We have lots of shops. Unfortunately, those shops are in the department stores, and and even some of them in the hospitals. But we got heavily affected as well. And the last part of our business, which not many people know, is the extraction business, where we can extract the active ingredients from herbs and plants and fruits to be able to use it in the food and beverage industry. Why do I have to say so? The company itself is quite diversified, and I think that's a good thing that I like to mention, because doing business nowadays, putting one egg in one basket doesn't work anymore, because you never know what's going to happen. You used to have a very good business, but suddenly the crisis comes, the pandemic comes, it's gone. A lot of my friends are doing just open the restaurants, just start a new business. Some of them got an early retirement, and then start the restaurant just right before the COVID, and then you see what happened, right? Again, having a diversified business helps to a certain extent. But if I think Dr. Witt asked me about the impact of the
pandemic.
Yeah, the pandemic. To me, it's of course two things. Actually, everyone can talk about the impact, but to me, it's everywhere. But if I may summarize into two topics, one is the way we do business, and the other one is, of course, the way our consumers behave, which is totally different. We used to have BC and AD in terms of the calendar years, right? But now we have before COVID and after COVID, things like that. The way we do business is, of course, it affects the whole supply chain, right? Some of our suppliers cannot export their, say, for instance, concentrate to our factories, right? We have logistics problem during the time of crisis. We have manufacturing problem as well, production problem as well, because some of the spare parts cannot come, things like that. And so the way we do business is totally different. And I think you all know about, even today we have the webinar in our office. We have to do work from home. At that time it was 100%. But now we have to call all the executive back because people missing each other. They want to see, are you getting more weight, or how do you look now? So the way we do business is totally different. That's a big impact. So we have to find, say for instance, we have to find second source, third source, just to be prepared for let's say for the next crisis. If we cannot. So today we cannot rely on only one source. That's for instance. And in terms of the consumers, of course, big change. Now people buy goods for home consumption. People are more health concerned. But when it comes to health concern, it's a bit different from Thailand to other countries. Health in Thailand is a little bit superficial. It's not really inner health. So if you ask, the teenagers about what's good health means, they would say that, nice skin, white skin, good looking, things like that. But it's not really, the inner health that, the majority of, educated people would look for. So that's the behavior that we see change, during the crisis and even up to now. So you see more and more new products that are coming, like functional drinks and those things that try to target specific needs of the consumer in terms of the health. I think that would be the start that I give you for the first question.
Well, thank you very much. I wish I have hours talking to you, especially the way that you try to implement research and innovation in order to ensure that all the needs of the consumers whose, of course, the pattern of living pattern might have changed quite radically, I mean, even before the pandemic spread. And now from the point of view of packaging manufacturer, I wish to ask Kun Saroj, which is different one from Saroj, who addressed the introductory remarks earlier on. Of course, if beverage industry were affected, packaging industry for beverage would also affected. How can you describe the effect that you got from the spread of the pandemic, COVID-19?
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank Thai Beverage Association for organizing this event. I'm sure it would be beneficial for people in the industry to understand how COVID is affecting all of us. Our company, Thai Beverage Can, we are a manufacturer of aluminum cans for the beverage industry, various categories. And of course, we are all affected by COVID. As we know, COVID is affecting the overall demand of various industry, and when COVID initially strike us, the first thing we do, and most companies do that, is to look at business continuity and business contingency plan. We look at how the supply chain would be affected, supply chain from China, from Europe, and we start to look at alternative sources. We need to understand day by day the logistic restriction within the country, between various provinces, and across the country in the CLMV area. So during the initial 1 or 2 weeks, I'm sure all the executives are facing the same thing. And then as we look internally, there are a few things that I'm sure all the companies do. Number one is we look at the health and safety of our people. So we get the best practices. We actually learn from our customer, we learn from our partner, and try to find the best practices in terms of managing the health of our employees. And then after we are able to kind of stabilize the short-term issues, we need to talk to our employees about how this COVID would affect the company. And we already know at that time that COVID would stay with us for some time. So I talked to all the employees, basically focusing on 3 things, and it's still relevant today. One is we look internally to control our cost. As we know that we have to ride this through for a certain period of time. 2 is we actually look at quality as opportunity to expand our sales. We found that in this kind of COVID situation, our customer actually want to reduce the risk. They already have too many business risks, and if we as a supplier to the system is able to help them reduce the risk, then we have more opportunity for sales. So we look at first at our cost. It's more of a defensive move. We look at quality more as an opportunity for us to grow. And thirdly, we actually want to stress on the importance of developing our people. We found that COVID, let's say the COVID period is from now until the end of next year. We want to make sure we emerge out of COVID in a stronger manner. So we actually put a lot of resources now into developing our people over the next period. Now, that's what we see internally, but I want to share with the audience that in Thailand, we are very fortunate. The private sector are actually contributing a lot to the society. Once COVID struck, actually a number of Thai private companies got together and start helping the country. There are a few things that we come together and we discuss, and certain measures we do it very quickly. Number one, we want to make sure that there's no shortage of essential goods. So let's make sure all the shelves are filled so that there is no panic. So that's the number one that we do. Secondly, we want to make sure that we don't fire anyone. We make sure we have full employment during that period so that we help the society. And thirdly, we make sure that we manage the health of our employee well. So there were a lot of measures that we do behind the scene among the private sectors. We also collaborate to supply alcohol, supply gel to hospitals in various instances. So there are many things that the Thai private sectors have done well and contribute to the society. For Thai Beverage Can, what we did was we filled this drinking water in a can and distribute to the society. We give an inspiring message of "Su Su," which means we'll go through this together, and we donate it to the Red Cross Society so that it can be distributed to various organizations and various villages. So the main theme that I want to stress is, as Kun Ekapol said, this is a new normal, and it would become normal for us to adjust to COVID, and all the businesses have to find a way to adjust to it. Right now, in terms of packaging, what we have learned is COVID is actually affecting various things that would affect packaging as well. During COVID, the use of various packaging has increased because of deliveries and all that. The other thing that I've noticed during COVID is when you have a COVID situation and all the economic activities were drastically reduced, probably 99% of airplanes were not flying, and all the commercial activities were reduced. What we have found is actually the environment has improved. I remember going to Hua Hin right after COVID, and the beaches and the sea were very good, very nice. We feel that that's kind of the next stage that packaging have to tackle. We feel that COVID actually raised the profile of how important the environment is, and we can't ignore the fact that pollution is affecting our environment, and that's the next stage that Thai Beverage Can would focus in.
Well, thank you very much. With environmental concerns grow very rapidly, even before the COVID, I wish to ask you in the next round, how can we, not only packaging company, but also beverage industries as well, can join force together in order to ensure that we tackle those questions in order to enrich our brands even further. But now let's move a little bit beyond the COVID-19. I really hate the COVID-19, like all of us. And I wish to ask Kun Chirathep, who is the managing director of a consulting firm, BOLLIGER and Company. I mean, one thing that people really talk about is consumer behavior in the past couple of years seems to have changed quite dramatically. People wish to have something more functional. They look after their health, especially those who are at the age of 50s and beyond. I mean, look at four of us here. We reached 50s already. I mean, in terms of trend of consumers, as far as beverage industry is concerned, how do you see the overview of consumer shift in their taste and the way they live in the world?
Well, thank you very much, the host, for inviting me to join this panel discussion. You may wonder why there's a consulting company doing here on this panel. Well, we are a consulting company for public policy. So our clients are Ministry of Commerce, Board of Investment, Tourism Authority of Thailand. So we engage very closely in the public policy design. And I think what the COVID crisis brought us to is that we have to many big lessons are being learned along this line. It's not only fighting the fire of the crisis, but in terms of public policy, we need to think ahead of what's going to happen next, what's going to be the next driver of growth in Thailand. And what COVID highlighted to us is that worst come to the worst, the domestic economy is very important because it's really the foundation, the backbone of where demand really is. And I think the changing taste effectively comes with the changing population and lifestyle. And over the past 6 months, we've engaged in a project for the Ministry of Commerce on the silver economy. And we find that really the next growth area comes from a silver population, the aging population. And why am I saying this? Because I think we sort of thought that the aging population is related only to the health or medical. But in fact, the aging population that we're going to see in the next 10 years is we call young old, right? We're not old yet, we're getting there, but we're enjoying the lifestyle. We have the income.
Young at heart, so to say, young at heart. Okay.
And we have the income, we have the lifestyle that will enjoy very much on the consumption. So I've talked to our panelists is that there are many opportunities that we're going to see in the future, because not only will the silver economy focus on the medical care, but the preventive stage is actually more effective than the healing stage. So in that respect, the beverage comes into play very closely into the lifestyle of the aging population. But my observation as a consumer is that I don't really see advertisements or the storytelling of beverages, how it's going to fit in the daily routine of the young olds, when they wake up, what they're going to drink, at lunch, what they're going to drink, before going to bed, what they're going to drink. So there's a journey, a customer journey awaited to be designed by the new generation. And also, I think this is a very big group. Another thing that I learned along the way is that I got to travel a little bit to my retirement home, in a way that I have in prayer. And what I find is that there are many local contents that have not been developed. And I also mentioned that isn't it possible that big beverage companies engage to develop the R&D for a lot of the local contents that to be discovered. And my concern is also that when you have more people returning to their home provinces, right? Because the job opportunities may not be so good in Bangkok anymore. This de-urbanizing trend, these people will go back and find resources in their home provinces, and they will have to look for business opportunities. And I think that's where the big companies, the industry can help the local strength. And I think these are the two areas that I like to start off with. That's the silver economy and also the local expertise that are a way to be discovered. Thank you.
Well, thank you. But I have small questions here. Why do we call that silver economy? Because we have a lot of money or what?
I think it's because of the gray hair.
Oh, because of the gray hair.
The gray is coming.
But we can be young. So next time we ask each other, how young are you? Instead of how old are you? Well, wonderful.
That's why Dr. Witt doesn't understand silver, because he doesn't have silver.
I've got some, but I drink a lot of juice. Yeah, so, well, on the one hand, Kun Ekapol, Tipco has been known for innovation and research and some newness, and at the same time, you have rich of ingredients in Thailand. On the other hand, you have new trends of consumer behavior. When you try to bring these two together in order to identify the next step of Tipco Group as well as beverage industry, what should be the way in which we think of the future that we can bounce back quickly from this spread of the pandemic?
Very good question. Can I go back to my slide, please? Thank you. All right. Let me tell you a little bit what we do, fighting the crisis. Let me skip this. People normally say that we have to think outside the box when it comes to innovation. But for us, I do believe in thinking in the box first. But we have to define what box we are in, or actually what business we are doing. People always confuse about mission and vision, which one come first. But for us, it's very clear. Mission has to come first. But depends on how, do you define the word mission. For us, mission means the purpose of the business. Why are we here? What are we here for? And at Tipco, it's very clear that our business is really to bring wellness to society. That's the box that we, all of us, understand. So to be able to innovate, everyone has to understand that whatever we do, products, service, or whatever that we provide to our consumer, our stakeholders, it has to be about wellness. We like to bring wellness to society. So with that, then it comes to the way we achieve the innovation, which for us it has to be a couple of things. One is, of course, as you mentioned, new products. Talking about juice in particular, I'm sorry to go too specific, but just to give you an idea. Juice today has a problem of sugar, as you all know. We are 100% juice, very focused on 100% juice. In the past, doesn't have any issue. But today, the silver age, silver generation, they're very concerned about the sugar. They look at the labels and see this is high sugar, so forget it, things like that. So we see a decline of consumption if we only focus on the baby boomers or even Gen X today. So with those people, we have to come up with the new products, and of course the tax structure, the excise tax structure also speed up the way that we have to innovate and come up with the new products to be able to, give them a better choice. But then again, the product that we have today, we have to think about the new segment as well. You talk about the silver generation, but for us, the 100% juice has to be refocused to the kids' generation because they still need sugar. Without sugar, they die because they have to run every day, and I think Dr. Witt needs sugar too because you have a very active lifestyle. Judging from your
my socks, that's a little bit colorful.
I think you don't see them. So anyway, innovation. The first thing you always think about the new products, or even the new segments for the existing products, things like that. So basically, what we're thinking today is we have to come up with a new product for the young old generation, and how we communicate existing products to the new segments, to the kids. That's the first thing we do. The second thing we do is the new process, the new way of doing business. As I mentioned before, now working from home is probably 50%, but the whole supply chain, the whole process, the whole way of doing business has to be improved thanks to the the new AI is the new Internet of Things and those things, right? Automations and those things that we have to bring in. If with or without COVID-19, we still have to do that anyway in order to improve the efficiency, reduce costs and those things. And the last thing that we have to look at the innovation is the new business. As I mentioned before, we're quite fortunate that we have 4 businesses altogether. So one got hit hard, the other ones maybe, less hit. And perhaps some of the businesses are even much better. Say, for instance, we have the extraction business, which is very good this time because functional drinks, functional foods are the big boom today. So we have to look into what's the next business that we would like to pursue. This project we call Tipco Connects, where we start in 2018, 2 years ago, which is a good thing at that time. But it was really speed up today because because of the crisis, right? Let me say this before I go further. Innovation is very hard when it's a good time. During the good time, not a lot of company can change. Not a lot of company can innovate because they don't have what they call sense of urgency. The first thing that you need to create before you do any big change is the sense of urgency, and I've seen that all along. Without that, you cannot do much. The company that I admire in the past, sorry to mention name, is like Kasikorn Bank. I don't know if you remember that they did re-engineering. That was very long time ago, 20, 30 years ago or something. During the good time, it's very hard to do that. But today, you can name it. We have to do this, do that. We have to improve efficiency simply because it's a bad time, right? So this project started in 2018, where we worked very closely with the startups people. I think the keywords one of the keywords today, in order to fight the crisis and turn it into opportunities, is collaboration. Never in the past, that I think you mentioned this before, never in the past that we get together, small and big business, startups and big corporation, working together to come up. Even competitors, we have to work together, to fight together. But this one is the program that we work with the startups, even students, or just graduate. We have the boot camps. We have the what we call hackathon, where we have different series or different leagues of startups. We have the early stage startup. We have the growth stage startup. Some of them even already have the products that they would like our company to look into and how to expand the market. This is in 2018, but even today we working very closely with them. But the environment is different. We cannot put a lot of people in one room, but we still have Zoom meetings or Teams meeting with them. We work on the smart farming. We work on the marketplace platform. We work on the new product. Quality products. We work on the delivery systems, and these are the products that I think Kun Chirathep mentioned about the local wisdom, the local products. That there are a lot of people in the upcountry that they have good raw materials, good plantation, but they have not developed into good products for the consumers. So some of them already in the market. As you can see, we even work with some of the small beverage producers like OTOPs people, and then bring them to the market. Successful, not successful, it's okay. But at least we help and we work together to see. And some of them could be a big hit in the future as well. Why I talk about this is that, as I mentioned at the beginning, the crisis will be with us forever. Please don't think that COVID is going to come and gone. There will be next COVID. There could be COVID-21, I don't know, or something else. So we have to be prepared. I think that's the best. And we have to innovate all the time. Okay, as I said, we put everything in the box, what we're going to do, but again, the main purpose is still the same, which is to bring wellness to society. So we have identified some of the new business, some of the industry that we're going to move into, but at the end of the day, it's about the wellness for the people. These are some of the examples. We also work with some of the technology, new technology providers like artificial intelligence, smart farming, some marketplace, retailing, product qualities, many things. And these are some of the food technology that we work on. Some of them has to do with the packaging as well, and also the quality of the products. Agriculture technology, I think this one is very suitable for Thailand, because we're still an agriculture country, and a lot of farmers are out there. And with the crisis today, I think many people have to go home. What else they can do? Many of them think about organic farms and go back to the nature. So this could be the way to develop the country to the next generation. We also think about even without packaging at all. We cooperate with the Israel company doing the what we call water from the air. And this machine can be put into the office or in the factories or even in the during the time of disaster like drought or even floods that we may see, we don't know in the future. So this one could be good for the disaster. This is to get rid of the whole packaging at all. So those are the things that if we think one way is going to compete with whatever we have today. But the other way of thinking is that we have to disrupt ourselves as opposed to having someone else to disrupt us. So that's how we think about innovation. So what I'm saying here is that innovation and crisis always together, always here. Crisis is always with us. So we have to keep innovating, find a new business, find a new products, find a new process. That's how we do it.
Well, thank you very much. Many people said we are in the age of disruption, but the crisis really forced us to disrupt ourselves. But one thing quickly before I go on to Kun Saroj about the environmental issue and packaging, we talk about the young old. But once Tipco did the hackathon with the startup, what do they like to drink? I mean, I just wonder, for example, all of us want to drink something with low sugar, even though we eat 16 inches of pizza and Hainanese chicken rice and durian, and we find something with less sugar. But for youngster, for startup, normally what do they drink? Gen Y and Gen Z?
They drink the gentlemen are doing right in front of us, which is like the sparkling, the CSDs and those things. So those are the young generation. But of course, they look at the sugar content and those things. So that's why you see the new products coming.
They are concerned. So people in our age in the 21st century are concerned with sugar level, sodium, and also environmental issue. But before I ask you a question, Kun Saroj, are Thai people serious about environmental issue, or they simply want to make statements? And how should we react to the claimed trends of environmental issue? How would you say about this point?
Well, I think when just basic fundamental of human, we of course, we look at our well-being, but we also look at the well-being of the next generation. And I think that's the key and that's the challenge. As we look forward, the next generation would have different needs and different perspectives. And a lot of them are quite concerned with our generation doing the things that we do. I'm also part of the silver generation, although I hope I'm the your group. I think the key, and this goes back to what Ekapol was saying. I think as a corporation, we actually do have responsibility beyond our immediate stakeholders. We actually have responsibility for the country, for the society, and for the world. And I think, with COVID, people have the time to step back and really think about what they should do going forward. I like what Tipco is saying, that there is a mission out there, and we need to find a mission that the company has to move forward to. And actually, as we try to attract young people to our company, actually they look at our mission and whether they're genuine and whether they're authentic, and they would want to work for someone that is similar in their mission. As we look forward at Thai Beverage Can, we are focusing a lot on sustainability, and sustainability in our view is not just the environment. We have to make it sustainable in the three pillars, which is environment, the economic side, and the society effect, or the social side. How we see it is this. We are the maker of aluminum cans. We have to look at our ecosystem and make sure that we manage our ecosystem well. We need to make sure that the process that we do in manufacturing the can is the right process. It's not affecting the environment. We want to work with aluminum suppliers that are also consistent with our view. So we look at standardization of sustainability and make sure that our supplier follow that. We want to encourage recycling of aluminum. One of the key areas that we are focusing on, and not many people are aware of this, we want to create an awareness that actually aluminum can be recycled infinitely. In fact, not many people know this. 75% of all aluminum ever made by mankind is still in use today. And this is the key that we want to focus on and stress, because we can actually use this recycling forever and make sure that we can convert from can to can. And what is interesting is in Thailand, we actually have that opportunity because we are in a fortunate situation because we are can maker. We have very good food processing packers in Thailand like Tipco, Shaba, many companies. Beverage makers, the world-class beverage makers are here. So after that, when the cans are used, there are many collectors out there that are collecting all these cans back, and processor that can process back to the aluminum rolling mill. And we are fortunate to have very large aluminum rolling mill in Rayong that can do that. And after they roll the mill, they can supply the aluminum back to us. So we want to encourage this can-to-can loop. We have found that consumer today actually place a lot of importance on the economic impact of the product. And the brands are fully aware of that. So what we are working on right now is to make sure that we provide the choices for the consumer. It's one thing good to say that, okay, please use small can and all that, but you need to create occasions, price point, retail space for our products. So we are working to increase the variety of our products out there. And collaboration. I think the key of business as we move forward is to make sure that we collaborate in different dimensions. We work with academic partner, media partner, our business partner, in order to make sure that we stress on this sustainability message, and all together we work together on a common goal to improve the environment, improve the society. We are working now with Mahidol University to do a full product lifecycle assessment on the various packaging, and we'll use this study to provide information to government agencies, to industry players, so that we can continue to improve our environmental impact. As I mentioned before, there are standards out there. This is aluminum stewardship initiative that look at sustainability angle in each of the supply chain, and we're working with them. So I feel that of course COVID put a lot of stress on us, but it also creates the opportunity for us to really look at our business and find the right path forward. And all the businesses are doing just that. And I feel that as a result of this, we will all be stronger after COVID.
Thank you. What really catch my attention is the capped can. Does that mean that we can close it again? Because
So-
many times I can't finish a can of a beer, so I have to keep another half. Sometimes I put it in the toilet because I can't keep it in the fridge any longer.
Well, for beer, I would suggest you quickly drink it.
I see. Okay.
But we are looking at what we call aluminum bottle, which would have resealable ability. But I think, as I've shown you, there are various uses and occasions, and it depends on the type of drink and also the occasion. So we in a way, we are forced by the behavior of the consumers today that you need to provide them with the choices. Okay.
You can taste it with me. Okay, thank you very much for that. Well, now turn to Kun Chirathep. If we look at Thailand, we are not a very rich country in terms of GDP ranking. We are number 26, which is not bad, but we are a fascinating country, rich of natural ingredients and rich of culture as well as Thainess. Do you think that these items, these ingredients or cultural elements can be additional value to any kind of further development of beverage in the future?
Well, I think both speakers mentioned about wellness and well-being. And I think this is a really big umbrella under which, the hospitality, the local ingredients, the choices of consumption can fall into. And it's really interesting to hear about the Tipco engaging with startups. These things, because when we went out on field visits, we talked with a lot of these young startups, and what they are lacking really is the R&D, and they don't know how best to develop their products. So I think having big companies engaging and collaborating is really a wonderful exercise. And in terms of business strategy, it's also important because, as we know these days, the lifetime of a business can be a lot shorter. And one way is to keep the big ship moving, is to send the small ships or find the small ships that connect into a big voyage. But I think what's sort of still missing is the matchmaker or the platform that would bring the big business and the small startups together, and in a way also how to educate how startups should engage with big companies. So I think this is one area where a lot more work can be done in terms of collaboration and engagement. I think another thing also is we're doing this work for Thai Tourism Authority, but I think the same can apply to the beverage industry. This is the high value creation. Because when we talk about the environment, when we talk about the choices, it's all about emotional benefit. So these days you can command higher price, higher value if you don't only have the functional benefit, but also add the emotional benefit. Let's say if you choose this product, you feel good that you are a good global citizen in terms of sustainability, in terms of the environment. So these are a lot of areas where I think branding can come in, branding design can come in. I always wonder in the beverage industry whether product or brand is more important. And but I think in a way in the past, maybe if you cater to the mass market, product may be important because they are associated with their favor of certain kind of drinks. But in the future, the goodwill of the company, the branding may be important if we're going for the emotional benefit, the high value creation. So I think in that respect, there's also room in that area. Another thing that, if I may go back a little bit on the silver economy, is that the silver economy is going to be multidimensional, and there's going to be the young old in the countryside, there's going to be the young old in the city, and the young old in the city will mostly live in condominiums. So maybe a family may have 3 units of condominiums in the same building. So and what would be interesting is what would be the distribution points for this kind of multi-generational population. Maybe we need to think of vendor machines in condos. Maybe we need to have different kind of outlets that cater to different sides. So I think looking into the future, like a lot of industry, you probably need to look at segmentation strategy. It's going to be hard fighting in the mass market, I guess. But if you're really creative, you can. If you really design the lifestyle of various generations, if you design and if you can get the emotional benefits right, I think that's a long way to go. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. I like that emotional value. If we look at the Thai national energy drink, in Thailand, people perceive it in a way. But when it is commercialized in Europe, it has become something totally different. So that's purely emotional. Here it costs, I think, about 20 bahts. Over there, it costs you 2 euros. That's purely emotional value. So that's important.
Perhaps more or less the same ingredients.
I think so. I taste that over there. The level of energy remain the same as I'm here in Thailand. Yeah? Another thing is about the young old. The theme of young old is multi-directional, multi-dimensional. It is not only ingredients, not only functional or not, but it has a lot of dimensions that we have to be concerned. Well, finally, I mean, believe it or not, we can manage everything in 57 minutes. Before I ask for questions from the floor, I don't know whether there are some questions from the floor because everyone seems to remain silent and seems to be rather clear. We have something. Can you please proceed further? But at the same time, I wish to ask Kun Ekapol before I address all of these questions concerning the regulatory framework or legal framework. It seems that the Thai government, especially, I'm sorry to mention, but Excise Department, have enforced some kind of law in terms of taxation. For example, level of sugar, level of sodium. I don't know whether this law has been enforced, but do you think how far has it influenced the development as well as the business of beverage industry?
Put it this way, I'm a firm believer of education. Tax structure, legal, whatever we're trying to do today is probably, if we don't do it well enough, it could distort, the way we do business, and sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. Just to give you an example, the sugar tax that we are doing today, of course, it's good in a sense that people are aware of it, and people look at what they consume every day, how much sugar they consume, things like that, try to avoid as much as possible. But at the same time, it could create a way to overcome it for the manufacturing point of view. Say for instance, sweetener, as we are doing today. Good or bad, we don't know. And perhaps some of the sweeteners are already banned in the past. And it could be the side effect also in the future. If you allow me to talk a little bit about, say for instance, 100% juice. 100% juice, because it's the 100%, so we cannot do much. And sugar comes naturally with the fruit itself. We cannot take it out, because if we take it out, it will not be 100% juice anymore. There's a technology out there that you can take it out, turn it into alcohol, and then, evaporate it, whatever. But again, it's not 100% juice. And with 100% juice, it all comes with the vitamins, fibers, and those things. So it's all good. For certain countries, they don't impose tax on the 100% juice, sugar tax, I mean. Simply because, it's nature, it's good for the body. But for certain countries like Thailand, sugar is the same. So they impose tax on sugar level, whether it's natural sugar or added sugar. So the way that we have, if we think of it, how to avoid the sugar tax, so we have to dilute 100% juice down to, let's say, 50% juice, and then add sweetener into it in order to make it as tasty as before. Good or bad, you can judge. But that's the way we, try to overcome the tax structure that imposed to us. So again, to me, I think education is much more important for people to understand, because it's not only sugar level. It's about, if you talk about health, it's about everything. It's about your lifestyle too. I mean, if you don't have sugar, you die too. But if you have sugar, you have active lifestyle, it's still okay. So it's not only about food and beverage. It's about lifestyle. It's about what you do in a day. It's about calorie in, calorie out. You cannot look at piece by piece and then try to impose the tax on piece by piece basis. Again, it would distort the behavior, as opposed to giving them the good education, the better understanding of, I think Chirathep mentioned about life, the better lifestyle, particularly for the silver generation. Mm-hmm. I think that's the way to go. Yeah.
Well, diet is not everything. It's only part of your holistic lifestyle, so to say. Yeah. Actually, that question was raised also by the floor, and it has been addressed already by Kun Ekapol. And here, do you have any suggestion for foreign beverage importers, so we can advise to those companies? Of course, I mean, we talk mainly about the Thai manufacturer or Thai producers. Any advice for importers or foreign beverage company? Anyone would like to take this challenge? Put them in a can.
Let me try. Because we do supply aluminum can to many categories, we can see certain trend in the Thai market. One of the trends I already mentioned, the consumer would like to have a variety the variety come in different can sizes and different price point. The other trend that I've seen quite clearly, and this is due to COVID, is health consciousness of the consumer. We are seeing a very big spike in functional drinks interest, and many of our customers are introducing many new products in that category. I think what I found with the Thai consumers are very sophisticated. We travel abroad quite extensively, and we do understand the different dispersion of the various categories. For a foreign drink maker, I would suggest that we look at all this diverse category and create the choices for the consumers. Okay.
Well, thank you. I like that Thai people are very sophisticated. We test every beverages on the shelf. Yeah. Next question. I mean, this is specified to Kun Chirathep. Due to the rapid change of consumer behavior, what is your advice to beverage company to cope with those constant changes to achieve company targets? I think, I mean, the person who asked this question would talk about what we call the ability to adapt or agility. Will you address that?
Well, I'm speaking on this not as an economist, but as a consumer. I think brand loyalty is important in the sense that going back, it gives a lot of emotional benefit. You know, why you still drinking this beverage is because it brings back memories of you know, when you studied abroad or something like that. So I think your market research will have to be quite sophisticated in the sense that to identify you know, the consumer base that has the strong purchasing power and the continuity of the brand loyalty. I think what we've seen from COVID really in a way is the personalization and the premiumization of consumption, because sometimes people I think one behavior that is problematic for planning ahead is the quick switch of consumer taste, and I think this is probably not so much the brand, but the consistent quality of the products. Even if we have less income, you know, we would continue to choose to consume certain beverage. You know, so in a way, I think you have to do the market research very, very deeply, and also in a way, myself, I would prefer sort of seeing the beverage that fits the lifestyle, not only just as health, but maybe, you know, what kind of lifestyle, and you have to do the right storytelling to get the people to believe that is part of their lifestyle.
Emotional value. Well, I do like that, to bring back some of the beverage that existed in the past, but no longer exists anymore. I have two dreams, Kikapu. It disappeared somehow, but it was reintroduced. Another one is the Fanta pineapple. I don't know, any one of you have tasted. If you tasted, you are silver generation. I think that. Yeah. And next question is for Kun Saroj. What is the update situation of recycled can in Thailand today? How can industry convince consumers to, sorry to say, I can't read it. How can industry convince consumers to, probably to react on that?
So one of the key areas that we are working on is data. There is no scientific data in the country enough to to understand the recycling rate of various packaging. That's one of the key areas that we're working with the Mahidol University to look at recycling rate of each packaging, including aluminum cans. What we know is the economic and social impact of waste collection. This is extremely important in a developing country like Thailand. It's important that we manage the economic impact well and help to educate the waste collection process so that we get the most value out of waste collection. Just to give you an idea, a can, once it's used, you can actually sell each can about half a baht or 50 satang. So that's why you would not see aluminum can lying around, because people can identify quickly that if you collect this, you get 50 satang. Most of the waste and pollution issue is not about the packaging itself, it's about collection. And the collection process has to do with regulatory framework and economic benefit. And those are the things that we are trying to educate the consumer. We are working with the 3R Foundation to educate the consumer. We are working with government agencies to educate the consumers. So to answer your question, we believe today aluminum can is quite well collected, and you won't see much lying around. But we need to go deeper. What we are working on is to make sure that those cans that are collected go into the right value chain, which is going back to the aluminum can rolling mill process and bring back to us, and we supply the can. So that's what we are encouraging at this time. Okay.
The microphone is exhausted. Yeah, so we talk. Probably I talk far too much. So anyway, I think that we are in the final minutes of the executive talk. I wish to ask the three gentlemen here on the stage to give some final remarks in 1 minute. Any one of you will volunteer to be the first one of the final round.
Okay, just want to touch upon the wording you use, the agility. I think that's very important. But to be able to be agile, you still need to have mission, as I mentioned before. You cannot do everything you like to do. You need to have the right direction. And also, I think in the beverage industry, understanding consumer is very important. You talk about the research and those things, but research today can be very quick. You launch the product today, you know instant feedback. But understanding the pain point of the consumer is very, very important. I always ask the team when they come up with a new products idea, the very simple questions. If this product is going to be good for consumer, the simple question is, what are they drinking today? Why are they going to drink your products? That's a very simple question. And sometimes we cannot answer that. We just develop this product just simply because we have this machine. That's all. Yeah, just to.
Well, thank you. I mean, hearing is important, I mean, especially in the social media. Instead of only making statements, if we listen to them more, we would learn a little bit more. Well, Kun Saroj, any final remarks?
Well, I want to go back to my comment that business have to adapt to this situation, and I think all businesses have to do that. We need to be focused on agility, on resilience, and also we need to be responsible. I think this crisis actually forces us to look at our part in the society and what we can do to help the society. And if we focus on agility, resilience, and responsibility, I think we can move forward quite quickly.
Thank you, Kun Saroj. And Kun Chirathep, any final remarks for that? I share with you a sharing economy. We share microphones.
Right. I think wellness would be the key buzzword of the future, and for new business opportunities. And I think Thai economy as well, as the Thai people have the comparative advantage defining and scoping and developing this, and maybe that it's not only going to benefit big countries, big cities, but also going to benefit the smaller provinces, the smaller farmers, the smaller startups. So I think in a way wellness is one of the big strategy to go for, and we're looking forward to learning more from the industries and also in terms of the public policy to support them. Thanks.
Well, thank you very much. And I think that today we collect a lot of information, knowledge, as well as wisdoms. And one of the key is consumer insight. And consumer nowadays, they are not one chunk. They are multi-generational with different mindsets, with new sets of behaviors. And we need to be agile. So therefore, I really hope that this executive talk is useful for all of you in order to identify the next steps to ensure that the industry will be bouncing back quickly and even stronger than in the past. So big round of applause for the three gentlemen here on the stage. Well, no other MC, so. Finally, I try to wrap up. So thank you very much for coming here to attend the executive talk for the Thai Beverage Industry Association. Thank you very much for coming, and I think lunch is prepared for all of us here today. Thank you very much, and hope to see all of you next time. Thank you very much. Any additional program?
จะขอมอบของที่ระลึกให้
Oh,
ท่านวิทยากรกับ
Token of
ดร.
appreciation.
ค่ะ
Beverages?
ขอเรียนเชิญคุณวีระนะคะประธานกรรมการบริหารสมาคมอุตสาหกรรมเครื่องดื่มค่ะ